Hey guys, it's me, Lex here. It seems so weird that I could be gone for like 3 weeks and then come back and put like 5 videos up. But today's video is going to be about the lies they told you about slavery. I'm really into this re-educating the black people. I'm talking to one of my coworkers about starting like an organization where we buy land and we keep the rent low for black people or minorities, and because I live in a place where it's real gentrified, but that's not for this video. So this video is about myths and lies of slavery, because a lot of times, even though people think like it's the past, move on, it's the past, a lot of times you have to know where you came from to know where you're going. And then you can't let these white lies get all up in your head and you think shit like this. And then a lot of times you feel like, I know when I was a younger kid and I was in school and I was learning about history, I was just like, slaves were so weak, they didn't do nothing, they just sat there, that wouldn't be me. I was like totally judging slaves, and I really was. I don't know if it was just being young and not caring about my ancestors, not thinking it connects to me because I'm an African American, but it really affected me. So hopefully this video finds someone who is affecting, and it helps re-educate the right way what really happened during slavery. So I'm going to give you a couple of myths and a couple of facts, and I'll run them down today so it won't be so all over the place. So lies in history. This is going to be the re-education of black folk. Alright, so how slaves were treated better and did less work. Lies. Let's talk about how house slaves were treated badly and often victims of severe trauma from the family. So imagine you're in the field and you see the guy in the house chilling, and I don't know who said they had better lives, and they were often lighter, yeah, but no one said they had better lives. They lived in a house where they were sexually abused, physically, emotionally, verbally, 24 hours. So they probably had it, everyone had it bad because they were slaves, but they probably had it worse because they were constantly under supervision of master and master's family for 24 hours a day, and they were really, really severely raped, beaten, and whipped. A lot of them were tortured. And I don't know who started this rumor about being lighter made you better during slavery. That was also a lie. Being lighter back in the day didn't do anything. You know why? Because you were still a Negro. And black people with the highest status back in the day were usually the ones that were free. Those are the people who were looked at as higher, not the ones with lighter skin. Not the ones with lighter skin. And the people who were free came in all shades. It wasn't just light skin. They were every shade of black. And they were looked at higher because they were free. In the early 20th century, the idea that lighter is better became common in North and West when the Southerners moved from like plantations and started moving outward. So they brought the idea, because I guess they saw all their life the people in the house, maybe they thought they were better because they were in the house. They really wasn't. I think the slave owners were trying to make a competitiveness between slaves, and it really worked, because to this day, people still think light skin is better, even though my generation and the old people in my family always say the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. And I don't look at people by color, I look at people by heart. That's what white people say, don't they? But anyway, American culture and attitudes changed after the people migrated from the South. So they pushed that light skin seems to be valued much more. And then they also found out recently, nowadays, that this light skin versus dark skin thing is not really a thing. It's more of a thing with black women now than it is with black men. So black women look at it more as light skin is better. And now all over the world globally, it's been going around. I know you see it in Jamaica and like Africa, where people are bleaching their skin to be lighter because they feel like it's more beautiful. And it's really sad, because the idea that they did in slavery, where they separate the slaves by their color and to break them apart, they're doing now with like ads. And it's an ad in Korea where, China, where the girl is dating a darker guy and he's like trying to talk to her, and she's like, ew. And then she puts him in a fucking wash machine, puts this light cream in there, and it makes him come out light like Chinese. And she's like, I'm like, the fuck? But anyway, it was illegal to teach slaves to read. That is half true. So in 1619 to 1820, there were no laws concerning the education of slaves in the North or South. Black churches and other groups and organizations opened schools for children to teach them how to read, write, and math skills. However, a lot of kids didn't attend. So I'm thinking that a lot of the slaves weren't trusting of these schools and wasn't trusting of these churches, so they kept their children home. And back then, education wasn't really a push for a slave, because it was like, you go to school all these years and you become what, a maid or a wet nurse or a farmhand. So why send my child to school and I can keep them home with me and they could go to work and help make money? I'm transitioning from slavery to like out of slavery. So these schools were open, but a lot of time they were not filled. And back in the day, the KKK, after slavery was abolished, would come by and burn a lot of schools down. So during the last generation of slavery, a few states made it illegal. A few states, not all states, made it illegal to teach slaves to read, only because a lot of the rebellious slaves and the people who was reforming the rebellions learned how to read and were reading the Bible and the Declaration of Independence and using this as a tool to help other slaves like motivate them to fight and to like run away. So a few states declared it illegal to teach slaves how to write because they were scared they wasn't going to leave. But in the beginning of slavery, there was a lot of slaves that could read, there was a lot of slaves that could write. Slaves were not dumb. So black people didn't resist slavery. This is the one that really hit me hard, because I was thinking like, why these people didn't fight, why they didn't run, why these Indians and these indigenous Negroes didn't do anything but just sit there and take it. But it's not true. The truth is, black people throughout slavery developed a culture of continued resistance. They never just sat down and be like, okay, I'm a slave forever. No. In every community, slaves ran away, committed suicide, killed their children when they were born. I remember it's a story that breaks my heart. A lady bang her child in the head with something, or suffocate the children after they were born, just so they wouldn't live the life as a slave. A lot of abortion attempts. It's like a lot of things they did. They killed themselves, they killed their children, and a lot of slaves died fighting back against the oppressors, the white man. In Jamaica, Suriname, and in Brazil, slaves escaped to mountains and established independent communities. So there were slaves out there living in the middle of nowhere with their own communities all over the world, because don't forget, black people live everywhere, brown people live everywhere, indigenous people are everywhere. In Haiti, indigenous people ended slavery by defeating both the Spanish and French armies, and the slaves fled and organized a rebellion. We have to remember that Haiti was the first place, told by white history, that rebelled and won against Spanish and the French. But they also don't tell you that once they won, Haiti is on an island and they became very self. They had the largest thing of sugarcane, but they kind of like cut them off. So instead of sending like boats of food and boats of grains and boats of stuff, they kind of cut Haiti off from the world, so no one would ship things there. So they kind of started downhill from there. And I think Haiti is still getting hate because of their leadership and their freedom that they established. Even in DR, I don't know how the lighter Haitians went into the I'm Spanish and the darker Haitians. It's like everyone divided when the whole thing should just be Haiti, because Haiti helped make Dominican Republic free, because there was no Dominican Republic when there was slavery. So the next thing is, all right, the next lie out there that really affected me, because I was like, oh my God, I have to change my last name. I have this white man's name. It's, oh my God, it's like a white slave name. But the myth is that the last name of black people or Negroes come from white people who own them or the plantation they live on. This is half true and not true 100%. So the half truth is, some freed men use names of the white families, though not necessarily the ones that own them, as their last names. The trend was more pronounced in Mississippi and Alabama. So in Mississippi and Alabama, a lot of people would use the names of like the plantation they grew up on, or owner they liked the most, if they had like 5 owners, stuff like that. But that was like Mississippi and Alabama. A lot of them, however, there was always some slaves who got their names from their parents. So parents would name their children's first and last name with names they like. So when a slave got his freedom, he chose his name. So that's why you see a lot of black men named Freedman, because they would name themselves Freedman or Newman. And the ironic part is, I know a lot of white people named Newman, so they probably have some slave deep in their blood. And records show that most slaves didn't have the same name. So on a plantation, you would think a plantation called the Johnson Plantation, you would think all 500 slaves had a Johnson name. The slaves all had different last names. So it's letting you know that they got to choose their own names. And that got lost in history. And it makes me feel better because maybe my ancestors picked the name and they wasn't just given a name. And they didn't just take their master's name. You know what I mean? So it makes me feel better about my last name. So another lie is most black men were lynched because of sexual incidents involving white women. In all these movies, you see that the white woman either lied, the black man tried to holler at her, or the white woman fell in love with the black man, or the black man whistled or winked at the white woman, and they lynched him. But journalist Ida B. Wells published Southern Horrors, a book that he investigated lynches in the South and found that more than 70% of them occurred due to victims trying to vote, people who demanded their rights, people who purchased land or owned successful businesses. So when black people were free, they went out and they started doing things. And when they started doing things, people got mad. So say you open your own shoe shop business and you're doing well, I'm gonna come lynch you. Because out of jealousy, people would lynch them. You purchase land, people would lynch them and take the land. So it's probably out there right now that is slave owned and families live on there for decades and they just killed the person who lived there. The last lie I'm going to talk about, because this video is 11 minutes long, is the civil rights movement began in 1955 with the Rosa Parks on the bus. This is another lie. This is a myth. The civil rights movement didn't just happen. It didn't just like happen because the lady was on the bus and she was tired and she refused to give her a seat. Negroes had been passing petitions, bringing court cases, fighting against slavery and oppression since before the American Revolution. Efforts began in the 1880s, but did not have much impact until 1930s when the Montgomery bus and Martin Luther King stuff happened. So I made this video because I wanted you to understand that our people are not weak people. They are strong people who lived through a lot and who could tolerate a lot of shit. And they took our land and then they enslaved us and then they fed us lies and then they put us back out into the land as if we were immigrants or foreigners when we've always been here, we've always been working, and we've always been doing things. So stay tuned in this series. I'm going to keep talking about re-education of black people, truths, that history that have been forgotten or taken away from us, and also anything else I could find that could help us better ourselves and help us educate ourselves. This research for me really was oh, and most of this stuff you can find, I'll put the article, I have an article link. I'll put it in the description because I erased it from my thing. So I hope this video was insightful for you. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share, live your life, ask me questions. If you want to, you can email me, it's in the description. And I'll see you guys next time. And I hope all is well. With love, Lex. See you guys.